Never trust a girl who shows up to school in a different luxury car every week. Because I learned the hard way that some secrets are more dangerous than they look. My name is Marcus, and up until 6 months ago, I thought I had my life figured out. Senior year at Westbridge Academy, captain of the debate team, full ride to Columbia waiting for me after graduation. Everything was perfectly planned. Everything made sense. And then I met Isabella Moretti. She transferred to our school in January. Middle of the year, which was already weird. But what made her impossible to ignore was the way she carried herself. Designer clothes that probably cost more than my dad's car. A different luxury vehicle dropping her off every morning. Monday it was a black Mercedes. Tuesday, a silver Porsche. Wednesday, some kind of Maserati I couldn't even name. But here's the thing that really caught my attention. While everyone else was trying to get close to her, trying to figure out where all that money came from, Isabella seemed completely uninterested in making friends. She'd sit in the back of every class, barely speaking to anyone, always on her phone, texting someone with this worried look on her face. It started small. Just observations, really. Like how she'd tense up whenever someone asked about her family. How she'd change the subject if anyone asked where she lived. How she never, ever invited anyone over. Most rich kids at our school loved showing off their houses, their pools, their home theaters. But not Isabella. Then there was the incident in the parking lot. It was a Thursday afternoon, and I was heading to my car when I heard raised voices. Isabella was standing next to that day's ride, a deep blue BMW, arguing with the driver. But here's what made me stop and pay attention. The driver wasn't some professional chauffeur in a suit. He was maybe mid-20s, wearing a leather jacket, and he had these tattoos creeping up his neck. And the way he was talking to her, it wasn't respectful. It was threatening. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught fragments. Something about her knowing the rules, and what her father would do if she stepped out of line again. Isabella looked scared. Actually scared. This girl who walked through our school like nothing could touch her suddenly looked small and frightened. The guy noticed me watching. His eyes locked onto mine, and I swear, I've never seen someone's expression change that fast. From angry to cold and calculating in half a second. He said something to Isabella, got back in the car, and drove off. Isabella caught me staring. For a moment, we just looked at each other. Then she grabbed her bag and walked away without saying a word. I should have left it alone. I should have minded my own business. But something about that moment wouldn't leave my head. The next day, I did something I'm not proud of. I started digging. Not anything creepy, I told myself. Just basic internet searches. Moretti family plus our city name. What I found made my stomach drop. Articles. Court documents. FBI investigations. The Moretti name was connected to organized crime going back 3 generations. Isabella's grandfather had been arrested twice for racketeering. Her uncle was currently serving 15 years for money laundering. And her father, Dominic Moretti, was suspected of running one of the largest criminal operations on the East Coast, but somehow, he'd never been convicted of anything. The photos from the news articles matched. That was definitely Isabella in some of them, always in the background, always looking uncomfortable at some charity event or society function. I felt sick. This girl I'd been watching, curious about, she wasn't just rich. She was Mafia royalty. I decided to keep my distance. Stay away. Forget what I'd seen. That lasted exactly 3 days. On Monday, Isabella surprised everyone by sitting next to me in AP Literature. Our school had no assigned seating, so this was a choice. A deliberate one. She didn't say anything at first. Just opened her notebook and started taking notes like it was completely normal. But halfway through class, she slid a folded piece of paper onto my desk. I waited until the teacher wasn't looking to open it. "You've been researching me. We need to talk. Meet me after school by the old gym. Come alone." My hands actually shook as I read it. She knew. Somehow, she knew I'd been looking into her family. I had 2 options. Ignore it and hope nothing happened. Or show up and find out what she wanted. I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't terrified. But I was also curious. Dangerously curious. The old gym was on the far side of campus, barely used anymore since they'd built the new athletic center. I got there at 3:30, half convinced Isabella wouldn't show up, half hoping she wouldn't. She was already there, sitting on the steps, still in her school uniform but somehow looking different. Less polished. More real. "You're wondering if this is a trap," she said without looking up. "If I called you here so someone could, I don't know, threaten you or hurt you or make you disappear." I didn't answer. "I'm not going to hurt you, Marcus. I just want to talk." "How did you know I was looking into you?" I asked. "My father has people who monitor internet searches about our family. It's automatic. When your name popped up, I convinced them to let me handle it. She finally looked at me. I told them you were just a nosy classmate. Nothing to worry about. And they believed you? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. She stood up. Look, I know what you found. I know what you think about me now. And you're not wrong. Everything you read, it's all true. Then why are you telling me this? Because I need someone to know the truth. The real truth, not just the news articles. She took a breath. I never wanted this life. I never asked to be born into this family. And I've spent the last 18 years trying to be invisible, trying to be normal, trying to pretend I'm just like everyone else. Pretty hard to seem normal when you show up in a different luxury car every day, I said. She almost smiled. Almost. Those aren't my cars. They're my father's. Or his associates. I don't even have a license. They drive me everywhere because he doesn't trust me on my own. Every driver reports back to him. Where I went. Who I talked to. How long I stayed. You're being watched. Every second of every day. She wrapped her arms around herself. You know what it's like to have a family that everyone's afraid of? Teachers who give you A's because they don't want problems. Kids who either want to use you for your money or are too scared to talk to you. Parents who look at you like you're dangerous. I thought about the way she always sat alone at lunch. How no one ever partnered with her for projects. I'd assumed she preferred it that way. Now I was seeing something different. Why are you telling me all this? I asked again. Because when that driver confronted you in the parking lot, you didn't look away. You didn't run. And when I caught you staring, you looked concerned. Not scared. Not disgusted. Concerned. She met my eyes. I haven't had someone look at me like I was a person instead of a last name in a really long time. We talked for 2 hours that day. She told me about her life. About growing up in a mansion that felt like a prison. About family dinners where business was discussed in code she learned to understand too young. About the time she tried to run away at 13 and made it exactly 6 blocks before her father's people found her. He didn't yell, she said quietly. He just explained, very calmly, that I belonged to this family. That there was no escaping it. That the sooner I accepted my role, the easier everything would be. What role? I asked. The perfect daughter. Smile at events. Look pretty. Keep my mouth shut. And eventually, marry whoever he chooses to strengthen business alliances. He's arranging a marriage for you? Not yet. But it's coming. Probably right after graduation. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. I've got a few months of freedom left. Then I become a bargaining chip. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. What if we stopped it? I said. Stopped what? All of it. What if we found a way to get you out? She looked at me like I was insane. You don't understand who my father is. What he's capable of. I know enough. I know he's controlling your life. I know you're miserable. And I know that if we don't at least try, you're going to spend the rest of your life trapped. For the first time since I'd met her, Isabella Moretti actually smiled. Really smiled. You're either the bravest person I've ever met, she said, or the dumbest. Can't it be both? Over the next 2 months, we planned. And the more time I spent with Isabella, the more I realized just how trapped she really was. Her phone was monitored. All her calls and texts went through her father's servers first. So we communicated through a second phone I bought at a convenience store with cash. Her bank accounts were controlled by her father. She had credit cards, sure, but every purchase was tracked. So I started giving her cash from my part-time job, little by little. Her schedule was reported daily. School to home. Home to approved activities. No variations. So we started building in small deviations. Study sessions at the library that ran a few minutes long. Debate team practices that I'd extend by having her help me with research. We needed 3 things to make this work. Documents, money, and a destination. The documents were hardest. Isabella would need a new identity to disappear. Her face was too well known in certain circles. Her name definitely was. I spent weeks researching on library computers, always careful to clear the history. Finally, I found someone through a friend of a friend who could make quality fakes. Birth certificate, social security card, driver's license. It cost $3,000. I sold my car to cover it. The money was Isabella's problem. She couldn't access her accounts without triggering alerts, but she knew where her father kept cash. Emergency money, she called it. About $50,000 hidden in his home office. She'd watched him put it there for years, never thinking she'd actually take it. But desperate times and all that. The destination was the easiest part. My aunt lived in Seattle. She'd moved there years ago after a bad divorce, wanted nothing to do with my father's side of the family. I'd only met her twice, but we'd kept in touch through email. When I carefully explained that I had a friend who needed to disappear from an abusive family situation, she didn't ask questions. Just said there was a spare room and a job at her bookstore if we needed it. Everything was set for May 15th. 1 month before graduation. Isabella would take the money during one of her father's business trips. I'd pick her up 3 blocks from her house at 2 in the morning. We'd drive straight through to Seattle, switching drivers every few hours. It should have worked. The night before we were supposed to leave, Isabella didn't answer any of my texts on the burner phone. I tried calling. Nothing. By midnight, I was panicking. The next morning, she wasn't at school. I broke our only rule and called her regular phone. It rang once, then someone answered. But it wasn't Isabella. Marcus, is it? A man's voice. Calm. Almost friendly. I've heard a lot about you. My blood went cold. Who is this? I think you know who this is. And I think we need to have a conversation. About my daughter. About your plans. About consequences. Where's Isabella? She's here. She's safe. She's also very grounded and very sorry for the trouble she's caused. A pause. You, on the other hand, are in a difficult position. You've been helping my daughter plan to steal from me and run away. That shows either tremendous courage or tremendous stupidity. I want to talk to her. That's not going to happen. Here's what is going to happen. You're going to forget you ever met Isabella. You're going to delete every message, every photo, every trace of your friendship. You're going to go to Colombia in the fall and live your nice, normal, planned-out life. And in return, I'm going to forget that you ever existed. And if I don't? The friendly tone vanished. Then I stopped forgetting. And trust me, son, you don't want me to remember you. You don't want me to remember your parents, your little sister, your aunt in Seattle. You don't want me to start paying attention to the people you love. He hung up. I stood there in the hallway, students rushing past me to class, feeling like the ground had disappeared under my feet. I should have listened to him. Should have walked away. Should have accepted that I'd tried and failed and that some things are bigger than one person can fight. Instead, I did something incredibly stupid. That afternoon, I drove to Isabella's house. I'd never been there before. She'd always refused to tell me the exact address. But finding it wasn't hard. The Moretti estate was famous. 15 acres in the most expensive part of town, surrounded by walls and gates and security cameras. I parked outside the main gate and called the intercom. I'm here to see Isabella, I said when someone answered. There's no one here by that name. Tell Dominic Moretti that Marcus Chin is here. Tell him I'm not leaving until I talk to his daughter. Long silence. Then, wait there. 10 minutes later, the gates opened. A black SUV rolled out. 2 men in suits got out. Mr. Moretti will see you, one of them said. Get in. They didn't search me. Didn't threaten me. Just gestured to the back seat like I was a guest they'd been expecting. We drove through the gates, up a long driveway lined with perfect hedges and classical statues. The house was massive. Not just big, but Hollywood movie mansion massive. They led me inside, through a marble foyer, down a hallway with paintings that probably cost more than my college tuition, and into an office that looked like something from a period drama. Dominic Moretti sat behind a desk that could have doubled as a boat. He was younger than I expected. Mid-40s, maybe. Expensive suit. Perfect hair. He looked more like a banker than a criminal. Marcus Chen, he said. The boy who wanted to save my daughter. Sit down. I sat. You have courage, I'll give you that. Not many people would walk through my front gate after the conversation we had this morning. He leaned back in his chair. So, what do you want? Money? A threat? Or are you just young and dumb enough to think you're going to ride in here and rescue Isabella like some kind of hero? I want to know she's okay. She's fine. Upset. Disappointed. But fine. I want to talk to her. No. He said it simply, with complete finality. That's not happening. Ever. You need to understand something about my daughter. She's a dreamer. Always has been. When she was little, she wanted to be a veterinarian. Then a teacher. Then an artist. Always something soft, something gentle, something completely impossible for someone in her position. So you crushed all those dreams? I prepared her for reality. The reality is that she's a Moretti. She has responsibilities. Obligations. A role to play. And yes, that means she doesn't get the fairy tale life she wants. But it also means she's protected. Provided for. Safe. She's not safe. She's trapped. His expression hardened. You don't know anything about her life. About what it takes to keep her protected from people who would use her, hurt her, or worse. You think you're the first person who tried to get close to her? You're not. There have been others. Boys who thought they could save her. Men who thought they could exploit her. All of them learned the same lesson you're about to learn. Which is that some things are out of your control. That some fights aren't worth fighting. That walking away is the smart choice. He stood up. I'm giving you one chance because you're young and because, honestly, I think you actually care about her. Walk away. Forget her. Live your life. That's the deal. And Isabella? What happens to her? She lives her life too. The one she was born into. The one she'll eventually accept. Or you'll force her to accept. If necessary. He walked around the desk. You need to understand something. I love my daughter. Everything I do is to protect her. This world we live in, it's dangerous. It's brutal. And the only way to survive is to have power, control, and family. Isabella will understand that someday. She'll never forgive you. Maybe not. But she'll be alive. She'll be protected. And eventually, when she has children of her own, she'll understand why I made these choices. He gestured toward the door. We're done here. My men will drive you back to your car. You'll delete Isabella's number. You'll forget this ever happened. And if I hear that you've tried to contact her, if I see you anywhere near her, the deal is off. Are we clear? I wanted to argue. Wanted to fight. Wanted to do something. But I was 18 years old standing in a mob boss's office. What was I going to do? Can I at least say goodbye? I asked. No. Goodbye implies you'll see each other again. You won't. He picked up his phone. Angelo will drive you out. That was 6 months ago. I deleted the burner phone number like he told me to. I erased all our messages. I went to graduation, walked across that stage, and tried to pretend like nothing had happened. But here's the thing about trying to forget someone. The harder you try, the more you remember. I remember the way Isabella would actually laugh at my terrible jokes when no one else would. The way she'd get excited talking about books and art and all the things she'd never get to do. The way she looked at me that first day we talked, like maybe, just maybe, someone finally understood. I started at Columbia 2 months ago. New city. New life. Exactly what I'd planned. Except it feels wrong. Every day feels wrong. Because I know Isabella's still there. Still trapped. Still dreaming of a different life while being forced to play a role she never wanted. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd left a day earlier. If we'd been faster, smarter, more careful. Would we have made it? Would she be in Seattle right now, working at my aunt's bookstore, actually free? Or would her father have found us anyway? Would trying have just made things worse? I don't know. I'll never know. What I do know is that some people spend their whole lives trapped by circumstances they didn't choose. Born into families they didn't pick. Living lives that were decided for them before they were old enough to have a say. And the rest of us? We watch. We sympathize. We wish we could help. But in the end, we walk away. Because that's the safe choice. The smart choice. The only choice. Last week, I saw a news article online. Isabella Moretti photographed at some society charity event. She was wearing an expensive dress, standing next to some guy in his 20s who I later learned was the son of another crime family. She was smiling in the photo. But if you looked closely, really closely, you could see it didn't reach her eyes. That's how I know she's still in there. Still trapped. Still waiting for an escape that probably won't ever come. And yeah, that keeps me up at night. The knowing. The guilt. The what-ifs. But Dominic Moretti was right about one thing. Some fights aren't mine to fight. Some people I can't save. I just wish Isabella wasn't one of them. If you want to hear more stories like this, hit subscribe.